As usually, we start with a bit of meditation. Just try to sit straight and comfortable without leaning on anything. And remember, meditation is not about doing something, but simply being present with what you experience. And that being present, at least for now, for our short sit, is not about controlling something, but relaxing, being aware of what you experience, and most important, being aware of your attitude to what you experience, without judging yourself or what happens. There is a place for some effort too, and we will be talking about it later. But for now, the only effort is to sit, to be present. In a way, it's kind of a rest. Try to include the whole of the body in your awareness. You feel buttocks, you feel your knees, your feet, palms of your hands, your shoulders, the head resting on the top, and try to see the body as a one piece, whole thing, at once. Sitting and breathing. And if you notice that there is some kind of restless energy trying to do something, then just let it go. There's nothing to achieve. Sometimes you can notice tension in your face as kind of a sign of your trying something, striving. So relax your face. Feel your abdomen. Relax your abdomen too. If there's any tension there. And whatever discomfort you may experience, just try to accept it and not be disturbed by that. So your attitude is what actually is important here. We can get lost in our fantasies and thoughts. So if it happens, don't be upset about it. Just return to the body as a whole thing, sitting, breathing. Maybe it needs to be even closer. Like. I think we need a larger bell. But it kind of works. Yeah. So we have another talk on the factors of the Noble Eightfold Path, and last time we were talking about right intention. In the traditional sequence, there is right speech, right action, and right livelihood following after right intention. And it seems like it's a natural. It's like a tree has roots and trunk, branches and leaves. So the Noble Eightfold Path has right view as its root, and right intention informs right action, right speech, right livelihood. And the right effort is what supports right intention, how it manifests. And the Buddha, in the scriptures, there is not actually all that much, it seems like. But the way he describes right effort is an effort to develop that which is beneficial, and to abandon that which is not beneficial. It's the effort to maintain those qualities that are beneficial to us, that we already have, and to prevent those qualities which are not beneficial from arising. Beneficial, something useful, something actually good for us. And when we normally think about beneficial things or qualities, we tend to orient ourselves towards material things. We look at the world from this position of me, and we look at the world as something that provides us with happiness or suffering, comfort or discomfort, and we tend to consciously or unconsciously try to manipulate the world outside to make it or try to kind of create happiness through manipulating things outside us. And I think this is the major difference between kind of a mundane life or worldly life and the spiritual life. Spiritual life is looking at oneself and one's attitudes, one's beliefs, one's views, one's intentions, and so on, to correct them, in order to correct them, to bring them in line with the Dhamma, and in this way to bring suffering to an end. So when we talk about right effort, what are the wholesome qualities that we would like to develop? And Buddha gives quite a clear list of the spiritual qualities that are needed for they need to be developed in order to realize the end of suffering. And those spiritual qualities are Saddha, faith, which is kind of corresponds to right view in a way. Energy, virya, and mindfulness, samadhi, and panya, wisdom. So those qualities he encourages for us to develop. And it's in order to understand what it is, obviously we need to investigate, we need to think about it. First of all, read scriptures and think about it. How Saddha is beneficial to me. How right view is beneficial to me. How energy is beneficial. How to develop energy. When we see the benefit of it, when we see the usefulness of it, then we naturally incline towards developing and maintaining it. It's very hard to put effort into something that we don't actually see as beneficial, like working for no reward. Our practice won't be serious, it will be sort of half-hearted perhaps. And although this list starts with Saddha, with faith, we don't need to feel somehow discouraged or I would say for a Westerner, I would think that it's quite okay to start our path from Panya, although it's not maybe wisdom as like transcendent wisdom, but using our intellect to learn these things, to learn actually the Buddha's teaching, and to learn to see it in our life, in ourselves, to see it in ourselves. And through that, when we see actually that Dhamma corresponds to life, that's what life is, or describes life, then we acquire faith. We actually see that it's true. And so that would give us energy and supports the effort, the right effort. And then the obvious thing that comes to mind, what qualities are there to be abandoned, is they are the obstacles to meditation, but also to spiritual life, to realization, to awareness. And first of all, primarily, it is craving, like sensual craving, greed, aversion, like ill will, aversion, restlessness, sleepiness, sloth kind of, and dullness, and doubt. So those are the 5 most important qualities to be able to make effort to abandon, and also to prevent from arising in the future. So we need to see the drawbacks and the harm that is caused through those qualities. And doubt is probably, although it's at the end of the list, but I think for an intellectual person, it's probably most maybe prominent and most difficult to overcome. as I said, we tend to start our path from wisdom, and the doubt is a natural result of thinking, of intellectual kind of investigation of Dhamma. And that's why I try to maybe talk a bit more about doubt as how to overcome, and how I myself personally I started trying to, because doubt is something that seems to always come back to you, even if you put it down once. After some time it comes back, and until it cannot be solved through logic. It's a kind of almost like emotional state, like a state of chitta, state of the heart. So rather than trying to think through doubt, what I do is I ask myself what I am sure of, what I have no doubt about, what is present, what I see in present, what I experience in the present moment, as a direct experience, not as a kind of result of thinking, but as a direct experience. And it's this body, the feelings that arise, pleasant or unpleasant, the state of the mind. State of the mind is like this. It's whether it's a doubt or some other aversion or whatever. This I can see and experience directly without having to think about it. So this is the way, as I see it, to put down the doubt, like not trying to find answers to some abstract questions or questions that may seem important to us, but those are perhaps questions more concerned with the world out there, as some kind of our image that we have created about, and we are good people and we want the world to be a nice place to live in, and we want people to be good to each other. But when it doesn't happen like that, we can be upset about it and we want to do something about it, but we don't know what. And so we start thinking and we start doubting. But the spiritual life, as I said in the beginning, it's more to do with our own state of mind, our own spiritual qualities. And that's what we pay attention to. And this is something that we experience directly without thinking. Like we were talking about faith. Is faith present in me in this right moment? Faith in the Buddha's teaching? Or maybe even that is not necessary. Just, as I said, just knowing the body is like this, the posture is like this, breathing is like this. It's easy or is it difficult? Is it short or is it relaxed and long? And whether there is energy present or not. Whether there is samadhi present or not. Samadhi not being some kind of highly concentrated state, but stillness. I prefer the word stillness. Natural stillness of mind which is not disturbed by those obstacles, like greed, aversion, restlessness, dullness, or doubt. When the mind is not disturbed by them, it's naturally still, naturally peaceful. So those are the qualities that lead to samadhi, lead to jhanas. That's how the Buddha describes the prerequisites, the conditions for the jhanas to arise. So when we meditate, we don't need to worry about making effort to concentrate on something, but our effort is more on knowing and abandoning those qualities that are obstructing meditation, those qualities that I have just mentioned, like aversion, when we feel something on discomfort, or we want something, we are driven by trying to get something, or some fantasies that seem attractive to us. You know, the thoughts and fantasies can feel sometimes like they stick to us. You know, like our attention is stuck like a magnet to those images and fantasies and whatnot, at least in my mind. And that's what craving is. It's like a food being attached to a dessert or something. And then, as I said, restlessness and dullness and doubt. So those are the qualities that we look at, whether they are present in us or not. And if they are not present, then we try to make effort to prevent them from being present. And how do you do that? So the king of all spiritual qualities is mindfulness. So this is something that is present in whatever our endeavors are, whether we are contemplating something, whether we are absorbed in samadhi, and I believe even when we experience enlightenment, mindfulness is always there. And it's the Buddha talks about himself as one of his unique, and not maybe unique, but very special quality, that whatever feelings, whatever thoughts, whatever perceptions arise in Tathagata, he is mindful of those. Whatever feelings, thoughts, and perceptions arise, stay in him, he is mindful of those. Whatever feelings, perceptions, and thoughts sees, he is mindful of them. Mindfulness is, and it may sound hard for someone who associates mindfulness with effort, because it sounds like a lot of work. But actually, how I understand mindfulness is the presence. It's like knowing what happens in the presence, in the present moment. And it's not like you have to make effort to know something. It's not even attention. Attention is something that is driven here and there. It goes to, there is some kind of a sound, attention goes there. There is some kind of a feeling in the body, attention goes there. Some kind of interesting thought or emotion, attention goes there. Attention is I would say more like a light of a torch, and it just goes from one place to another, to kind of a cold, without us even trying to perhaps focus it somewhere. Sometimes we can direct attention to this or that, but often it just goes all over the place. So attention is not mindfulness, but knowing what is present that's what I call mindfulness. So we know when attention goes to our hearing, like there is a sound, some strange sound, unusual maybe, attention goes to hearing. Or there is a strange feeling, maybe pain or some kind of, or something is crawling on your leg, attention goes there straight away. And we know that. So that knowing is mindfulness. Sati, I would say sati. So that's how I see it. And over time, as we understand the importance of it, of this quality of mindfulness, we trust that. And gradually, our life becomes more mindful. So whenever there are unwholesome or unbeneficial qualities arise in us, we know about it. When I feel that I'm getting angry about something, my kind of attention doesn't go to out there to the thing that made me angry, but it immediately became a habit, goes to, hang on, now you have to be careful, because you can do or say something which you will regret later. So my intention is to contain that anger and not let it grow, and make whatever effort I can to undermine it, to take the power from it away. Like thinking thoughts that what has been done to me is not fair, I don't deserve that. Taking something personally. So that helps to grow anger and frustration. But if we think that I don't need to make it my problem, let it be that person's problem. My intention is to stay clear from frustration and from anger, because it's actually unwholesome quality which can cause trouble to me. And a similar way with other unwholesome qualities that we were talking about. And above all, treasuring that presence or clarity of understanding what's happening in the present. When we see over and over again how when we miss something and then we have to pay for it, like we let ourselves maybe enjoy or indulge in something we shouldn't, and then these unwholesome qualities arise. And good wholesome qualities can also disappear. So whatever faith you may have one day, after some time it may not be there. Whatever energy and enthusiasm for practice we may have at some point, after some time it may not be there. Why did it happen like that? And it can be heartbreaking sometimes, because we feel we lost something very important, and it's true. So we understand that those things are conditioned. Those things are actually impermanent. And so we try to create supportive conditions for faith. And what is the supportive condition? Say we start investigating teaching through learning it, hearing it, investigating it, and that's how faith arises, when we actually see the validity of the teaching. Like I can say from my kind of a moment of conversion, you can say, was when I was reading this sutta on the Four Noble Truths. There is dukkha, there is origin of dukkha, there is cessation of dukkha, and the path. And what is dukkha? What is hard to endure, hard to carry around? Because that's what actually the meaning of the word dukkha. So what is hard to carry around is frustration, disappointment, grief, anger, loss of loved ones, association with what is not pleasant, with what is not desirable. So when I was reading that, I was kind of touched by that, because I thought this is what I experience all the time. This is about me. It's a 25 centuries old teaching, but it's about me. But it does take time to understand that dukkha is not caused by the world we live in, but it's our take on it. It's the way we kind of create a utopia, you can say, our interpretation of it, the laws of the world. And the Dhamma is straightening up our views. Suffering is not coming from the world out there. Suffering is caused by how we relate to it. When we try to grasp something, when we try to hold on to something, when we are struggling, grabbing and pushing away, trying to find happiness in what is imaginary. So this is my reflection now on right effort, and I hope I didn't miss anything, but mainly it's effort to develop what is beneficial in your own qualities, in your own, I wouldn't even say character, because character is maybe not the right word, but what is present in you, your spiritual qualities, and then abandoning those obstacles that lead to awakening. Do you have questions you wanted to ask, or something you want to comment? Don't worry if you don't have anything to say. As I said, we we have recorded this, and if you want to listen to it later, you should be able to. But also I would like to invite you to actually look at the teachings where they come from and the source. And the source for me is always in the suttas, the word of the Buddha. Look at it, investigate it, think about it, how it applies to you. Because what I can say is just my take on it, my interpretation. So, Annalena, you had something to ask? You want to write it? Or? No, we can't hear you.
How about now?
Yeah, very good.
Yes, you mentioned energy. I would really hear a bit more about that. How to maintain it in a practice, and or develop it.
Yeah. I would say it's something that comes naturally. Like sometimes they say Dhamma is another word for nature, and I see this those 5 spiritual qualities also as a kind of organic complex, you can say. So we have faith first, and what faith is it's like a bit like falling in love, I think. And what does it do to you when you are in love? You have a lot of energy. You actually are awoken, or kind of you have this enthusiasm. You don't feel like you feel strong. You feel like you have wings, maybe. And so it's the same with that. So faith gives us wings, gives us energy. And then mindfulness, and it keeps it kind of contained, so we don't go around scattering it, but it is directed to samadhi. So that unwholesome qualities are abandoned and wholesome qualities are developed. And then samadhi naturally arises. Again, it's not something that we actually try to get, like grab a bird off the sky, trying to jump higher and grab a flying sparrow or something. But it's something that comes naturally. And also in the, I must admit, not admit, of course, but it's just like, I have never been married, but I can talk about about these things, at least, kind of. But it's also kind of fades away a little bit, perhaps. And so we need to make effort to maintain these things. So sometimes we need to bring up or do something to actually maintain that energy, and basically keep practicing. Yeah, it's I believe it's like in your relationships, you need to kind of keep your feelings warm, do something for another person, and then that kind of maintains the connection. And through practice, through reminding oneself, because sometimes we want to maybe sleep a bit more or be a bit more negligent, because being negligent is kind of cozy. You kind of lose yourself in some kind of a pointless but pleasant activity. Yeah, like maybe, you know, people can spend hours on Facebook, for example, and they resent it. They feel bad about themselves, but then they go back and they spend hours on Facebook again, because it's kind of a, seems like an innocent entertainment, kind of fun, and doesn't seem to be like harmless, or you know, whatever. Doesn't have to be Facebook, whatever else, you know, people spend hours of their life on. Because naturally we do need pleasure in life. Life without pleasure is dukkha, it's hard to bear. But we just need to devote ourselves to wholesome pleasures. Yeah, pleasures that are not going to kill our spiritual qualities or undermine them. And ideally, like for monks, obviously the Buddha describes meditation as the highest pleasure. Not the highest, but the pleasure that monks should be looking for. But also, like being in nature, going for a walk, and smiling to a stranger. You know, there is a lot of pleasure in life, small pleasures that can actually make your life quite pleasant, quite kind of joyous. But sometimes we need to actually get ourselves, dress ourselves, and go out and do something. And it's like we need to sometimes. That's why people actually love retreats. You go on organized retreat, and everything is organized for you. You have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go to meditate. And people love that, because they don't have to make decisions for themselves. Somebody already decided, they meditate this time, they listen for the talk this time, have the meal at this time, and they feel their practice is growing. And when they come home, they want to do the same thing, but it just doesn't work, because you have to kind of force yourself. So that's how it is. So we do need to bring up a bit of enthusiasm for practice. All right. Somebody else?
Thank you.
Yeah, please.
Hello, thank you for a good Dhamma talk. You described earlier sometimes thinking it takes you away, or it becomes your reality for a short while, and then you wake up and, oh, I was thinking, or I don't know, you said something about thinking can really take over your reality for sometimes. What would be right effort in regards to that? Because when you're in the thinking, to me it seems like it's not until afterwards I wake up and I'm like, oh, I've been thinking about all this weird stuff for 10 minutes, and yeah, so. But when I'm in it, I can't do anything about it. I don't think so.
Well, it's like being in a dream. You can't really force yourself to wake up in a dream, can you? You only when you wake up, then you realize that you were dreaming. And so thinking absorbs us. We are absorbed into thinking. And then and that's why I said earlier that it's like mind feeding. It's like we are eating something nice. So we can, when we experience that pleasure of eating something nice, we are in it, we are kind of absorbed in it. And only when we have enough, then we put it away. So the mind is kind kind of acts in the same way. It works in the same way. Thinking is like food. So and it can be pleasant. It's not can be pleasant. It is pleasant. Like as I said, people develop pleasures in different areas. You know, like for some, sense pleasures are more important than thinking, and for some people, thinking is the main source of pleasure. So I would say, don't worry about that. What is important is that you understand how it works, so you can actually see that, and the more often you notice, the more you can say, in a better position. You are in a better position to actually to drop it, and you will become absorbed in thinking, perhaps for shorter periods of time, not as strong as before. So it's like I imagine it would be like some kind of like dropping a habit, and what is important, I think, is not to kind of be self-criticizing for that. Yeah, it's a condition that's been there for a long time. And again, thinking can be useful in certain situations. It's a tool, but if you become kind of too indulgent in it, pointlessly, obviously, it becomes an obstacle. Yeah. So when you find yourself that you've been thinking, you say, well, never mind, and turn attention to sensations, how you feel. You know, I think for many of us, it's important to know, to understand, to see how we emotionally are, to understand our emotions. And sometimes people who like thinking, they are not sure actually of themselves, how they feel about something. So it's a new area to explore. So rather than trying to stop thinking or somehow struggling with that, explore your emotional side, like what you feel, not as a necessary object of meditation, but try to maybe give it a bit more attention. Well, I think meditation should really stay within the realm of like physical, what the body is, what the posture is, the quality of the breath, and then knowing actually the state of mind.